It's tax time again, and if you're getting ready to file and maybe a little bit concerned about what things might look like this year, maybe because you recently got a raise or you're making more money than you ever have before, then this video is for you. Welcome or welcome back. I'm Jacent, licensed marriage and family therapist turned money mindset coach, here to just share some gems that I think will be helpful for you in your financial freedom journey. And today's topic specifically, I'm sharing from personal experience. I am not a tax professional, financial advisor professional, any of those certifications. I really just want to share some of the mistakes that I've made that I hope that other women can avoid by, putting this information out there in the world. And so stick around. You want to hear all of the mistakes to avoid so that you have a better, easier time this tax season. One of the things that I think holds, women of color specifically back from being able to create financial freedom is this knowledge gap around how to build wealth the way that the wealthy have been doing it for some time. Now, I do, on another tip, believe that we come from abundance and royalty and wealth and all of those things, but we have to return to the ways of, our ancestors and be able to really learn how to utilize the system to help us to move forward. I digress. All of that to say, this knowledge gap when it comes to learning how to go from making minimum wage to making the national average salary, let's say, to then making over $100,000, and knowing how to transcend through those different levels in the most profitable, let me say, way is key in how people build true generational wealth, right? And so today, hopefully we're filling a little bit of that knowledge gap with my personal experience and what I've been able to talk with my students about this week in particular, so that, hopefully you know what questions to go into your conversations asking, and maybe getting some support when it comes to your taxes if things are looking a little bit different than they have before. So, taxes. We get taxed in so many different ways. We're today just going to be talking about, that one time a year that you file your taxes, and some of the things that I've learned along the way. One of the biggest mistakes I think that you can make when it comes to taxes is going from filing maybe your own taxes to doing it for too long and not getting support when things get a little bit more complicated, when there are some factors that come into play that you don't fully understand. And so I know I personally used to file my taxes online for years until things got a little bit more complicated. And then I knew it was time to start building my money team, which is actually something that I talk about in my book, The Financial Freedom Formula. It's actually right there. You want to build a money team, and that's going to include financial and legal support and some other stuff, but we're not going to dive into that today. Specifically, when it comes to your taxes, you want to start saying to yourself, once you're analyzing what things are looking like, if it's getting too complex for you to do by yourself, now might be the time to get some support. A tax preparer, a CPA, so on and so forth, so that you don't have to try to navigate tax law and how to file your taxes correctly all by yourself. Okay, so there is, expert support out there in the world that can be helpful for you. And even if you don't own a business, or even if, you feel like it's on the cusp, it may just be helpful to consult. It may just be helpful to have that consultation and ask some questions to be able to understand your situation better. And it helps you to prepare for the future even more wisely, right? Because if you've made more money than you ever have in the past, right, or you recently got a raise or whatever the case may be, you may go from having gotten a refund to potentially having to pay taxes back. So that's one of the other mistakes I think that we can avoid, is understanding that we are conditioned and programmed to get this refund from the government, which really just means we paid them too much money. They were holding on to our money, probably using it to do whatever they was doing. And then they're like, oh, hey, you paid us too much money. Here's a check back. And there's nothing wrong with getting a refund. Don't hear me saying that. What I'm saying is, though, that as you elevate and start making more money, as you grow your wealth, there might be different scenarios you find yourself in, and there are different trains of thought. Like I said, I might say it 20 times, I am not a tax professional. I am speaking from personal experience and here to just share educationally the things that I've learned over the last few years. So we get programmed that the government is supposed to give us back money at the top of the year when we file our taxes for whatever situation. However, once we start, leaning into, or we cross the line over into a new income bracket, a new tax bracket, then things might look a little bit different depending on your situation. You may potentially owe taxes. Now, it depends on who you talk to, but like I said, there's different trains of thought. There are times where, you can talk to a tax preparer and they will discuss how to mitigate your tax liability. And that's when we hear about people saying like they want to write stuff off, right? And that has a time and a place, I will say. However, they're on the other side, depending on your situation, owing the government may not be a bad thing. It may just mean that you are profitable, you're making money, and that means the government wants their cut. It's one of the nice luxuries we get to have, okay, when we make a lot of money. And so we want to learn more in this season, is what I'm going to say, because there's multiple ways to skin a cat, even though we probably shouldn't be skinning cats. You want to start to learn more about taxes, and your taxes in particular, your specific situation, which is why you want to find someone on your money team who can talk to you, as a teacher and really answer your questions. My tax preparer, I go in with a slew of questions, and she's so kind and generous to answer my questions and break it down for me in a way that I can understand better. I am not a tax expert, even to this day, but you want to start having different conversations, because the next mistake that you want to be able to avoid is reactivity. There we go, right? You don't want to be reactive when it comes to your taxes. And this might be the first time, because it's never happened before, that you're like, oh crap, I might owe money to the government, right? And it's a shock. You're concerned. You are planning for the refund to get Beyonce tickets or whatever. And really, it may be that you end up owing taxes. The thing about it is there's two parts to this. There's deprogramming or reprogramming yourself, because you used to be, expecting a refund, and it might be that you need to shift to understand you may owe for certain reasons, and talking to a tax professional to be able to understand why that might be the case. And then go from being reactive, which is, oh, it's tax season, let me file my taxes, to being proactive, where you now may need to consult with a tax strategist. Again, I am not any of the financial certification things, but I'm going to talk to you about what the wealthy do, what I hear my mentors and my coaches talk about, and it's how to be able to have a strategy for things to be designed to work in your benefit, in alignment with your goals financially. So, tax time as far as filing is one time a year, but the rest of the year, you should be strategizing on how to ensure that next year when you file your taxes, you're ready ahead of time. So this is where something like the book Profit First comes into play, because then you're going to be spending the year putting money aside to prepare for the potential of paying taxes back. And you may not owe as much as you think. You may not owe anything at all, but at least you have set that money aside and you're thinking ahead instead of reacting and thinking, oh crap, now I'm going to have this big IRS bill that I have to pay and figure out where that money is going to come from. So pay yourself first method or the profit first method. If you want me to talk about those, drop a comment so that I can make sure to dive a little bit deeper into them and share what that could look like for you. Would be really wise, is the word I'm going to use here, when you start elevating and going to another level in your professional career. I'm speaking specifically to women who, maybe got a raise recently or making more money than they ever have in their career before, because this is the cusp where I feel like there's that knowledge gap that is the greatest. And women have the greatest opportunity to build wealth as they elevate, but things like this make women question, oh, well, maybe I should not earn so much money. I need to cut back on my hours or whatever the case may be, because I'm going to owe the IRS or whatever. And I don't think that we need to contract just because we have a different factor to deal with as far as taxes go. I think we need to be more strategic and intentional and to start building our money team so that we're not bearing the weight of our, financial journey by ourselves. We can start, spreading out some of the work and some of the tasks and some of the information and different things like that to a team. So for example, I will share, I do have a tax preparer, like I mentioned, and she does the bookkeeping for my business. I also have a lawyer and she helps with estate planning and can help with the legal side of the business stuff too. And so those things happened in the last couple of years when things started to get a little bit sticky, and I was like, I don't feel 100% confident about doing this stuff by myself, right? It is an investment, but if you're starting to make more and more money, you want to start looking at how you can utilize those funds for the right resources so that you can build true generational wealth, which is already waiting for you. It's on the other side of you managing to deal with these new factors in your journey. Kudos to you if you're in this situation. If you owe money to the IRS, kudos to you, because that means you must be doing something. You must be making money and serving the world in a great way. How can we shift our mindset around what that might mean and be able to come up with a strategic plan that helps us to be prepared next year, in the years to come, as far as our taxes go. So like I said, hopefully this is helpful. This comes from personal experience. I have paid, almost 5 figures to the IRS. And you know, it was a shock for me, but it comes with the territory. I started preparing myself for that when I started talking to more and more business owners and different things like that. But, you know, share this with somebody you know who might be in a similar situation. Drop a comment if it's tax season and you're feeling some type of way, so we can encourage each other and stay focused as we build financial freedom. And then click the subscribe button and the notification bell so that you are alerted when I have new videos come up. Again, sharing how to help professional women of color create financial freedom faster and just help you live your best life. Talk to you later, gems.